Good morning, dear students. Welcome back to the chemistry session. Dear students, in last lecture we started with lesson number 2, physical and chemical changes, in which you all have studied about what is a change and different types of changes. You studied about what is physical and chemical changes. Now, in today's lecture, you are going to learn few more examples of physical and chemical changes. So let's start with the physical change. The first example in physical change is evaporation and boiling. Now dear students, we will start with the definition of evaporation. The process by which a substance changes from the liquid state to its gaseous state at any temperature below its boiling point is called evaporation. So what does evaporation means? A change of a substance from a liquid to a gas at any temperature. For example, the evaporation of river water is a physical change. It can also be a desirable, reversible and endothermic change. The second type of physical change is boiling, a very common process which is carried out by many people on a daily basis. Now let's see the definition. The process by which a substance, when heated to its boiling point, changes from its liquid state to its gaseous state is called boiling. Means what? Whenever any liquid changes to gaseous state, that is called as boiling. But here the difference is boiling always takes place at a fixed temperature, and that temperature we call it as boiling point. For example, boiling of water is a physical change which can be desirable and at some time it can be undesirable also. It is reversible and endothermic. Now, we will learn about the factors affecting the rate of evaporation. Means how this evaporation will depend on this different factors. Let's see. The first factor is temperature. The rate of evaporation increases with temperature. Means as the amount of heat will increase, the evaporation process will speed up and the rate of evaporation will increase. For example, during summer, clothes they dry at a faster rate as compared to winter season. Why does this happen? The answer is, in the summer season, the amount of heat which we receive from the sun is quite larger as compared to the winter season. The second factor which we are going to study is moisture or humidity. Now, as the amount of moisture increases in the air, the rate of evaporation decreases. I am repeating, as the amount of moisture or humidity increases in the air, the rate of evaporation it decreases. The third important factor is surface area. The larger the surface area, more will be the evaporation. For example, if I take 1 liter of water and pour it into a normal water bottle, and again I will take 1 liter of water and this time I will pour it into a tray and keep it under sunlight for same period of time. What do you think? In which container the water will be evaporated faster? Any guesses? Yes, in the tray. Why? Because tray is wide open and it will receive maximum amount of light energy, or you can say heat energy, and water will be evaporated at a faster rate. That's why it is said surface area is directly proportional to the rate of evaporation. Means the more the surface area, more will be the evaporation. The fourth most important factor is movement of the air. The faster the air blows over the liquid, the higher is the rate of evaporation. Means if air is blowing at a faster rate, the speed of evaporation will also increase. I hope till here it's clear. So dear students, you must have understood the difference between boiling and evaporation. Now let's go to the next type of change, that is condensation. Now what is condensation? The process by which a substance changes from its gaseous state to its liquid state on cooling is called condensation. So what is condensation? Whenever a gas it cools down and convert into a liquid, that process you will call it as condensation. For example, the condensation of water vapor to form clouds. This is a desirable, reversible and exothermic change. The next type of change which we are going to study is freezing. Now what do you mean by freezing? You eat ice cream, you have ice in your refrigerator. So how they are formed? Yes, because of freezing. The process by which a substance changes from its liquid state to its solid state on cooling is called freezing. For example, the freezing of water into ice is a physical change. It is an example of freezing which can be desirable, reversible and exothermic. So even when you eat ice cream, that is a mixture of milk and ice cream powder, sugar and so on. So when we mix this all substances, what happens? They get mixed together and we have to keep that mixture in the freezer, in our refrigerator. So after some time this all mixture it get freezed. The next type of change is melting. Now melting is a process by which a substance changes from its solid state to its liquid state on heating. So whenever any solid is changing into a liquid because of heat energy, that process we call it as melting. A simple example of melting is melting of ice. If you take ice and keep it on a kitchen platform, what will happen? After some time, ice will change into water. I hope till here it's clear. Now, let's go to the next type of change, a very important and a new change, that is sublimation. Sublimation is a special type of change. Why? Let's see. The process by which a substance changes from its solid state to its gaseous state directly without forming the liquid state in between is called sublimation. We all know whenever we heat any solid, it first gets converted into a liquid and then it goes to a gaseous state. But here in sublimation, the things are different. Many of the sublimative substance, if you try to heat them, instead of melting, they directly change into a gaseous state. Examples are sublimation of naphthalene ball, dry ice, ammonium chloride. So, I hope till here it's clear. The next type of change which we are going to study is dissolving. Dissolving, a very simple process you do regularly at your home, like whenever you want to drink milk, you take 1 glass of milk, in that we add some amount of sugar and we mix it, we stir it so that it will mix. So what exactly is happening over here? We are trying to dissolve the sugar into the milk. So what is dissolving? Dissolving is the process of mixing a solid, liquid or a gas uniformly with another substance to form a solution. The example which I gave is of sugar and milk, sugar or water. This can be reversible, desirable and endothermic change. Now let's see some images. What can you see in this image? Yes, condensation process is happening. You can see water molecules or water droplets on the outer surface of the pot. Now guess this, what it is? Yes, freezing. What is this? This is again image of freezing, how water has freezed into ice. Any guesses what is this? Yes, this is sublimation process going on. This is dry ice. Now, here is an example of sublimation. Okay, in this image you can see many different apparatus, like china dish is there, then in which ammonium chloride powder is added. You will see an inverted funnel, you can see cotton plug, you can see Bunsen burner. So what is exactly done over here? In a china dish, take some amount of ammonium chloride, then take a glass funnel, invert it on that china dish and seal its mouth using a cotton plug. Now start heating this china dish. So as soon as the heat energy will be transferred to ammonium chloride, this ammonium chloride will undergo sublimation and directly changes into vapors of ammonium chloride. These vapors of ammonium chloride, if you see, they will cool down and start to settle on the walls of the funnel, the inner walls of the funnel. You can see ammonium chloride crystals. Okay, so this is one of the example of sublimation. Now let's go to the next page. Now we have completed till physical changes, and now we will be starting with chemical changes. Now chemical change is such type of change in which the chemical composition of a substance, it changes and we always receive a new substance. Let's see its first example, that is cooking. Now what is cooking? Of course it is a chemical change that is desirable, which is irreversible and endothermic. Cooking, yes, we do at our home every day. We cook the food. For example, we cook our vegetables, we cook many different type of sabzis and so on. For example, if I want to say preparation of bread, how is bread prepared? We have to take flour, in that we add water, in that we add yeast, we mix them and then we bake it. So what we are getting a completely new substance. Three substances, the three original substance, flour, water and yeast, we mix together, and at the end we are going to get a totally new substance, that is bread. And remember one thing here, once the bread is formed, you cannot get the original ingredients back. Yes or no? Why this happens? Because cooking is a chemical change. Let's see the second example, that is digestion. Now, digestion, you know what is digestion. It is a process in which food is broken down into simpler substances that can be absorbed by the body. Yes or no? Whatever food we eat, right now also you all must have had your breakfast. So the food which you have eaten, that mixed with many different chemical compounds, different juices, and it gets divided or it gets broken down into simpler substances so that it will be easy for our body to absorb the nutrients. Now this digestion is a chemical change that is desirable, irreversible and endothermic. I hope till here it's clear. The next type of chemical change is combustion or burning. Now what it exactly mean? A chemical change in which a substance combines with oxygen to release heat and light energy is called as combustion or burning. For example, burning of candle wax, burning of fuel or paper or wood. So again, burning is a very common example which is carried out by many people. So here, any substance, when it combines with oxygen, to release heat and light, it will be called as burning or combustion. The next type of chemical change is respiration. Again, the process which is right now happening in our body. What is respiration? The process of breaking down of food to release CO2, that is carbon dioxide, H2O, that is water, and energy. And let me tell you one thing, respiration is a chemical change that is desirable, irreversible, and exothermic. Let's see the next type of change, that is curdling. How many of you like curd? Yes, many of you. So how this curd is formed? It is formed or it is made by using the process of curdling. Now let's see what is curdling. A liquid changes into soft semi-solid mass is known as curdling. Examples are, for example, curdling takes place in milk. How does this happen? When lime juice or vinegar is added to milk, milk changes into curd. This curd which is formed is a new substance with new chemical composition. Of course, from the curd I will not get my milk back. Of course not. Why? Because this is a chemical change has happened. Okay, so curdling of milk is one of the example of chemical change. Now this curdling of milk can be desirable also and it can be undesirable also. How? Let's see. If the milk is meant for making cheese, means from the milk if I want to make cheese, then curdling will be desirable. But if the same milk is meant for drinking and then it curdle, it is undesirable. So that's why curdling is an example of desirable as well as undesirable depending on the conditions. The next type of chemical change is fermentation. You all must have eaten idli, dosa, then like what we say, vada sambar. So how this all foodstuffs are prepared? Of course, by using the process of fermentation. Now let's see what is fermentation. The process in which a substance decomposes by the action of microorganism with the release of heat and carbon dioxide in the form of bubbles is called fermentation. So here what happens? The microbes which are present in the air, they start to decompose the foodstuff by releasing large amount of carbon dioxide and heat. Fermentation of dough is a chemical change which is desirable, irreversible and endothermic, and this dough give rise to the soft bread. However, if the cooked food gets fermented, it can be called as undesirable change. Why? Because if cooked food is fermented, it will get spoiled. So again, fermentation can be desirable as well as undesirable depending on the conditions. And the last change which we are going to study is rusting. Yes, again a very important chemical change. Now let's see its definition. The process in which iron changes to iron oxide, also called as rust, when exposed to oxygen and moisture in the air is called rusting. You must have seen at your home, in our school also, that many of the metal particles, especially the things which are made up of iron, they form a reddish brown coating on them. What is that reddish brown coating? That is the rust. Means the iron, it combines with oxygen and moisture, a chemical reaction happens and it gets changed into iron oxide, which is also called as rust. And rusting is of course an undesirable change. Why? Because of rusting, all the iron material, they get spoiled. Okay, so rusting is a undesirable, irreversible and exothermic change. Now we have completed with different types of chemical changes. The last part which we are going to study is characteristic of a chemical change. A chemical change always produces a substance different from the substance undergoing the change. Means whatever is the original substance, it always changes into something new. And of course, the properties of the original substance does not match with the properties of the new substance which is formed. This chemical changes may also be accompanied by one or more of the following observable changes. Now, which are the changes, or how will you identify that the given change is a chemical or a physical change? Let's see. In a chemical change, there is always a new substance formed. Second important thing, the new substance which is formed, its color, shape and size will be changed. Plus, the taste of the substance will change. There will be evolution of gas. Means whenever chemical changes are happening, in many of the chemical changes you will see gases are evolved. That gas can be colored one, or that gas can be colorless. So you will see bubbles are forming. So this is an indication of chemical change. Then many a times when this chemical changes happen, either they absorb or release energy. That energy can be heat energy, light energy, sound energy, etc. Okay, so these are few of the characteristics of a chemical change. Now, physical and chemical change may occur simultaneously. Yes, which is the best example of it? The example is burning of a candle. Like whenever we lit a candle, first it melts. So melting is a physical change. But if we continue burning that candle wax, the wax, it get converted into water vapor and carbon dioxide. So this is a chemical change. So burning of candle wax is a physical as well as chemical change. I hope till here it's very clear. Now dear students, I am going to share one small video of sublimation with you all, and I hope you all have understood what is being taught today. So goodbye and have a nice day ahead. Watch the video.
Sublimation. If you keep naphthalene balls exposed to air for some days, it is observed that their size gets reduced after some days. This happens due to a phenomenon called sublimation. Normally, solids transform into liquid on heating, but in sublimation, a solid gets directly transformed to a gas on heating or on exposure to air. In above case, as some mass of the naphthalene balls is converted to a gas, they get reduced in size. There is a simple experiment to study sublimation. Some ammonium chloride is taken in a china dish and a glass funnel is kept inverted on it. A cotton plug is inserted into the funnel and the china dish is slowly heated. It is observed that ammonium chloride on heating gets directly transformed into vapor. Also, the vapors get cooled on the glass surface and are converted into solid form. Thus, we infer that ammonium chloride undergoes sublimation and hence is converted into vapor form directly. Also, the vapors when allowed to cool directly get